What's happening, everybody? Ryan Thomas here, live on the Thomas Take Sports Podcast, bringing you another weekly, Week 12. Wow, we are already on Week 12. It is the Buffalo Bills Week 12 pregame show as the Buffalo Bills take on the LA Chargers in Orchard Park, New York. The Bills coming off of their bye, coming off of a devastating loss to the Arizona Cardinals a couple weeks back. I'm not even going to dive into that game in and of itself, but I will discuss the fact that the Bills are coming off of this bye and they're going up against the 2-7 LA Chargers. And one thing I do know is that this LA Chargers team is far better than 2-7. So taking this matchup as I like to with every single matchup, taking these matchups very seriously. You never overlook an opponent. You take a gander at this LA Chargers schedule. They have lost a ton of close games as they have been led by the unexpected rookie phenomenon in Justin Herbert. And I say unexpected not in a sense that Justin Herbert is not the most talented guy. He is an extremely talented guy. But we did not anticipate going into this season that the LA Chargers would end up starting Justin Herbert in his rookie season. It was largely believed that Tyrod Taylor, former Buffalo Bills quarterback, would be the QB1 for the majority of the 2020 season, barring injury. And you want to talk about barring injury, crazy circumstances took place. Tyrod Taylor had a punctured lung from a Chargers team doctor and has not gotten his job back since. Justin Herbert is on pace for one of the best rookie seasons in NFL history at the quarterback position. So this is going to be a tough game. I think just setting the tone early for this show, I want to give the LA Chargers their due and say that this is going to be a tough game. This is going to be a game that I think the Bills cannot look past the LA Chargers. Coming off of this bye, dare I say this could be a trap game for the Buffalo Bills if they do not take this opponent as seriously as they should. So, want to remind you all as well that the Thomas Take Sports Podcast is available on all major podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, Facebook, Google Podcasts. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. You just look it up, search it, Google search it. It's all there. Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, YouTube, Facebook, and obviously I'm on Twitter right now as well. My Twitter profile is at Ryan Thomas Take, and I want to remind you guys as well that you can fire away some comments in the comments section below. Follow me on Twitter at Ryan Thomas Take, as well on Instagram, and like the Thomas Take Sports Podcast on Facebook, and subscribe to the show on my YouTube channel. I've greatly enjoyed interacting with all the Buffalo Bills fans over the last few years since I started this show. And, obviously riding solo for this pregame show today, I have a lot of topics that I really want to dive into. Next week, I will have, actually this Wednesday, I do have a guest on the show coming on. So I'm really excited about Wednesday's show. Stay tuned for that. Happy birthday, Mom. It is my mom's birthday Wednesday. So it'll be my mom's birthday this Wednesday, and I'll be hopping on prior to going out for the birthday festivities. So I'll get to your comments at the end of the show as well. I see them trickling in. I'll see them trickling in, and I'll get to those at the end of the show. But feel free to comment, fire away some comments, and I greatly appreciate it. So in the show, typically, I like to dive into the keys to victory for the Buffalo Bills in this game. I want to start off by saying that the first weapon on this offense that I think of is Justin Herbert. But the weapon that Bills fans have to be aware of is Austin Eckler, who is making his comeback in this game, who is returning to the Chargers offense in this game. And Austin Eckler is one of the trickiest running backs to game plan for. He can hurt you in a lot of different ways. He can hurt you in between the tackles. He's not a big guy, but he's so small that he has a low center of gravity. He's really tough to find in between the cracks of an offensive line. He squirts through the holes of the offensive line that they provide for him. And I think that that's a player that we have to really key in on and try to stop in this game. Easier said than done because Austin Eckler, as I said, there's a lot of different ways you can get him the ball via the run game, via the passing game. He can run routes really well. He's a PPR monster. For all you fantasy football fanatics out there, Austin Eckler is a stud for fantasy. I got him. He's coming back, putting him right in my lineup this week. I'm, fan versus fantasy. I'm playing that. I hate playing that way, but got to do what I got to do. The options are only so limited in this COVID era of the world that we're living in. And there are a lot of guys that are out this week because of COVID. A lot of guys this week. A lot of teams don't know if they're even going to be playing the quarterback with Denver, the whole quarterback thing, the whole Pittsburgh Steelers, Baltimore Ravens thing. So a lot of crazy stuff. But, obviously I did mention Justin Herbert. I want to start off by saying pressuring Justin Herbert, I think, is essential to victory for the Buffalo Bills. Achieving victory has to be done by pressuring Justin Herbert. I think Herbert is one of the more mobile quarterbacks, young, mobile, agile. He can throw on the run really well. To be quite honest, dare I say it, Justin Herbert does remind me a little bit of a guy that plays for the Buffalo Bills and Josh Allen. Kind of like looking in the mirror. You see a lot of the same tendencies that they both have. Within the rookie year, I see a lot of the same tendencies. Herbert not really running for his life like Allen was, but is so willing to tuck it down and run it. And in the sense that both guys are extremely exciting players, but for Buffalo to go up against Russell Wilson, Kyler Murray, and Justin Herbert in 3 consecutive, not weeks, but 3 consecutive games, this defense is going to be put to the test today, regardless of the bye week and extra preparation and all that stuff. This is a test. I think the Chargers are a much better team than what the record shows, and I think that this is going to be a very good test for the Bills coming off of their bye. Not only do they have extra preparation for this game, but this is a game that the Bills have to win this one. This is a game that the Bills have to win. This is a game that I think Bills fans have to prepare for anything in this game. I mean, we saw 2 weeks ago what took place. We didn't expect that. We didn't think that was possible, but unfortunately, it happened. It's over, and we can just put that in the rearview mirror. But pressuring Justin Herbert, in particular, I'm looking at this defensive line of the Buffalo Bills. I have not been nearly impressed by this defense as a whole. I thought this defense would be much better than it has been. But in particular, this front seven, Ed Oliver, I haven't heard his name called much. I'd like to hear his name called today. Haven't heard too much of, Hughes and Addison and Trent Murphy and Harrison Phillips. Really, the defensive line as a whole, I haven't heard a lot of, in terms of the game-by-game, week-by-week performances of the defensive line. I hope that this defensive line shows up today, and I hope that they can get to Justin Herbert, because if you can't get to Justin Herbert, as Herbert has proven himself, he can cause a lot of problems for you. He can extend plays even while pressuring him. So I think pressuring him is key. Forcing the Chargers to run the ball, because this Chargers offense has a ton of weapons on it in terms of the passing game. Keenan Allen's numbers, by the way, phenomenal season so far for Keenan Allen, and I think that has obviously helped Justin Herbert having weapons to rely on in the way that Herbert has. Keenan Allen, 112 targets this year, 81 catches, 835 yards, and 6 touchdowns, 19.7 fantasy points per game for fantasy football players out there. Wide receiver comparison can go both ways. Stephon Diggs, 101 targets, 73 receptions, 906 yards, and 4 touchdowns, 18.8 fantasy points per game this season. And there is a key fact within this Buffalo Bills offense that we have to discuss, and it's unfortunate. 2 of them, actually, that are unfortunate, that represent my keys to victory. Feeding Cole Beasley is one of them. Feed Cole Beasley. Target him heavily. I think Josh Allen thrives when he has Cole Beasley to rely on, and Cole Beasley is largely left wide open with Stephon Diggs as well as John Brown. John Brown won't be playing in this game. won't be playing for the next 3 weeks. Unfortunately, John Brown was placed on an IR. But I do believe Cole Beasley now has to step up even more than he has in previous weeks, and Josh Allen has to get him the ball and get him the ball early. I feel like Cole Beasley has a great stat line by the end of the game, but the majority of the damage that he does is done in the second half. Whereas if Allen were able to get the ball to Beasley earlier and set the tone, nickel and dime the opposing defense, whether he's playing the Chargers this week or the Cardinals last week, or 2 weeks ago, I'd like to see Allen get the ball to Beasley early and often. Feeding him early and often in this game, I think, could go a long way towards achieving something that the Buffalo Bills have not achieved all season long. And I say this with much frustration. I say this with anticipation and hoping. As I said at the beginning of the show, the Chargers 2-7, they're 3-7. In stopping the just abyss that has been this Buffalo Bills run game. Is the number one key to victory this week that the Buffalo Bills going into this game have the 28th ranked rushing offense. That can't happen if you're looking to win a playoff game. It just can't. It just can't. 7-3 right now. It's safe to say that this AFC East, I think, is Buffalo's to lose. I know Miami is still, on the precipice of being right behind us. They're right behind us. And they're playing the Jets this week with Ryan Fitzpatrick starting, and the Jets 0-10, and Buffalo facing a much tougher test in the Chargers than what the record states at 3-7, as I said. But we have to win games on every facet of offense that we can. We have to dominate the passing game, dominate the running game. We have to show improvement at the very least in the run game from, as I said, the 28th ranked rushing offense. And this is where I have criticism for Brian Daboll. I mean, I know that this Bills passing offense is their identity, arguably as a team. Their defense has not been up to snuff nearly enough in comparison to what we thought they would be heading into this season. But this run game has been an unmitigated disaster. You can blame it on the run blocking of the offensive line. You can blame it on the inexperience of Zach Moss. You can blame it on a lot of different things. I would lean towards the fact that when the Bills do run the ball, it is few and far between. It is not an established run game from early on, and they don't really run the ball in a traditional way. And I think in this game, if you're going to really prevent teams from coming back at you, which has happened multiple times this season. The LA Rams come back from 29 points down. The Arizona Cardinals come back from a 23-9 deficit. The reason that is happening, Buffalo is passing the ball far too often in those situations. Rather than establishing the run in those moments, they're essentially giving up on the run game, knowing that they haven't been able to have much success with it all year. I hope and I do believe that the Bills took this bye week to not only rest and recuperate, but coming back, to prepare for the Chargers. I really hope that they do set the tone in establishing the run game early and often. If they can't do that at all during the regular season and they can find a way to win this division, not only is that sad on the competitive standpoint of the Jets, the Patriots, and the Dolphins, it's sad from a standpoint of the Buffalo Bills. If we want this Bills team, if we believe in this Bills team, which we do, if we believe that they can win a playoff game this year, they won't if they can't establish a run game. You need the run game at some point, whether it's in the playoffs or the regular season. Bills have needed the run game. I think if the Bills had established a run game and had an adequate run game, these 3 losses might be 2 losses. These 2 losses could be, 3 losses could be 1 loss, I should say. I think it's a crucial part to any offense, and all this talk about, the run game is dead, running backs are dying. No, I don't agree with that. I just simply don't agree with that. I think that the run game, it is a passing league. I will say that, but in moments in a game, you need your run game to not only wear down the opposing defense, but to give your defense a rest and to drain the clock, to prevent other teams from coming back at you. 23-9, we were up against the Arizona Cardinals. That lead evaporated largely due to the fact that the Bills just ignored the run, tried to pass, and Arizona was prepared for those moments. those second half adjustments. I think that is a large factor as to why the Buffalo Bills in the third quarter have been so terrible all season long. And I hope that that changes today. So John Moore says, don't need to establish the run, just need better production when they do. You can't sparingly run the football and expect production. You can't run the football in obvious situations and expect production. You have to establish it. You have to set the tone early in any facet, whether it's run or pass. And in particular, I talked about setting the tone with establishing the run and setting the tone by feeding Cole Beasley the ball. I want to see somewhat of a West Coast offense today from this Buffalo Bills team. Happy birthday to Stephon Diggs as well, as commented by Michael Gervais. Happy birthday to Stephon Diggs. He has been a revelation for this Buffalo Bills team. I've greatly enjoyed watching him each and every week. He has been getting better and better in this offense, and obviously Josh Allen has reaped the reward of it, having a dependable wide receiver one on this offense. But all in all, I think that this is going to be a victory for the Buffalo Bills. I'm going to say that the Bills are going to win this one, but I think it's actually going to be a close game. It's going to be 27-17. Bills win. And, 10 points isn't exactly close, but it's not exactly a blowout either. So I think that this Bills defense will show up in spades today in terms of trying to spread this Chargers offense out a little bit, spread them thin in terms of Herbert's a guy that you see the way the Chargers run the football. I think the Chargers are one of the better run offenses in the league. I don't know where they rank specifically, but they've had a lot of good weeks of establishing the run game, and I think that we will see that here and there. We will see moments where the Chargers are able to establish a run game, but if we force Herbert to be pressured when they do pass, I think we could force Herbert to make some mistakes today. That's what I'm essentially hoping for in this game, is that the Bills force Justin Herbert to make some mistakes, make some ill-advised decisions, make some forced throws, and come away with a victory. I'm very pumped up for this game, and I think that this is a true test for the Bills. You have to look at this run game and say through the first 11 games or 10 games, the Bills are 28th. If that is due to just their running backs, I think we're lying to ourselves. I think we have to say that it is due to, the running backs, the play calling when they do decide to run. It's not exactly in the most advantageous situation. It's in a situation where the opposing defense knows that they're going to run the football. And if the opposing defense knows that you are going to run the football, more than likely they're going to stop it, especially when you have an offensive line that is not exactly the best run-blocking offensive line. So we'll see what happens. I hope that this is a Bills win, getting to 8-3, heading into this deep stretch of December. Primetime Bills in December with a lot of primetime action. That would obviously work wonders for this team. So I'm Ryan Thomas. That was the Buffalo Bills Keys to Victory pregame show. Buffalo Bills take on the Chargers today at 1 o'clock. Thanks so much for tuning in. 1 o'clock Eastern Time, 10 on the West Coast. Once again, you can subscribe to the Thomas Take Sports Podcast on YouTube and like on Facebook as well. Thomas Take is available on all major podcasting platforms, whether it be Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts. It's out there. Thanks for tuning in. Guest Wednesday. Tune in, stay safe, and go Bills.